Hello and welcome to my channel. I just wanted to take a minute and show you the finished quilt. I finally got it quilted and it is all done, but this video is all about the binding. This binding that I finally figured out how to do is a game changer. I will never do another quilt a different way than the way I'm going to show you how to do this one. If you've struggled with binding, this is such a great way to do it. I start out by cutting 2.5-inch strips. Also, I got this idea from The Little Green Bean and Craftsy. I seen both of them have videos on it and they were just so helpful. I hope this video is helpful because this is the only way I will ever do a binding again. And then I take it to the iron and I fold it in half, iron all of the strips just like this. So when you have a quilt and you sew all the way around it just like this, and you come up to these points, the way I've always been taught to do it is to make like a crisscross, right? Let me see, how do I want to do this? But you have to pull this one over, like you have to get it just like this, and then you have to, I might not even have this lined up right. Let me see if I can zoom in a little. Okay, the goal is, and it never worked well for me, to go from this point to this point and sew it. With all this quilt action going on, it just never worked well for me to do that. It's just too bunchy. Maybe it's just me, but this new method, there is none of this. But I will say, to get your strips started, this works perfect. So you're going to want to line them up just like this. I drew a line on that just so you could see exactly how to do it. And you want to sew right across there. I cut this kind of short, but you want about 1/4 of an inch here. And then once you do it like that, you just pull the strip back and you'll see that it lines up perfectly. Just like that. There's also another way to do it. This isn't the only way. You can take both strips and put them together just like this and sew straight across. There's no right or wrong way. Actually, the first way I think wastes a little bit of fabric, but that's just my opinion. It looks neat, it's less bulky, so there's a lot of, one way or the other. You just kind of have to decide what works best for you. And then you just want to sew all your strips together after you figure out how much you are going to need. When I start putting the binding on, before I start, I like to go around the entire quilt and make sure it's square. Get rid of any extra bulk. And this is where the binding magic comes in, I like to call it. So you're going to want to go just like this and just cut that corner straight off. You want to take the edge of that, fold it back, and iron it down. And you want it to look just like that. Now you want to find a spot on your quilt to start the binding. I don't like to start at the top. I usually start either a little ways down or near the bottom. You want to unfold it completely and you're going to sew down just a little bit maybe an inch and a half. And I did back stitch there. And back stitch again and stop. All right, now what you're going to want to do is fold this over just like this. And you had just made a pocket, which is going to really be awesome when you come back around. But you're going to want to go down about 2 inches before you start sewing again, and then just put your binding on just like you normally would. And when you come to the corner, you're just going to kind of go off to the edge, just like I'm going to do here, just a little bit. And then sometimes I break the thread, sometimes I don't. You just have to figure out which way you like. Pull this back, make an angle, just like I'm doing here, and then make it so it's square. And you want to turn the quilt around and get ready to sew that down. This you want to make sure you hold on tight to the corner, not letting it move. And then you want to continue on, and I do back stitch here. I don't want this stitch to ever come out. And then just continue on, doing all your corners just like that. Okay, now as I approach the beginning of where I put the binding on, I'm going to pull it up, take a look at it, and you want to leave about 2 inches past where the pocket is, just like I'm doing here, and I'm cutting it on an angle. I like to cut it a little long at first to make sure, if I want to cut it a little shorter, that way you have a little room, a little wiggle room. Stick it in there, stick it in the pocket just like that, and look how easy that is. And then all you want to do is sew it down just like I'm going to do now. I just love how this comes out. This just comes out so perfect. Look at this. You get the little angle right there. I'm going to hand sew my binding on, and when I do, I'm going to put a little stitch in there because I don't like to leave a little pocket where it could catch on a corner. I like to hand sew my binding on. I just really like the look of that. But sewing it with a machine is just fine too. You just have to find out which way you like to do it. Also, I wanted to show this knot that I make. I've showed it before, but if you have trouble getting your knot at the end, what I do here is I just tie the knot right in the middle. I don't even try to get it down to the end. Then I take my scissors, put them in there, and roll it down. So I hope that helps you. It sure has helped me. It is fun to hand sew the binding on. It is just very relaxing. Here I am coming up to the spot where I ended the binding, so you can see that little pocket there, and I really don't want to leave it like that. I just want to put a stitch in there. It's easy to hide a little stitch in there that nobody will ever know is there, but it will keep the pocket closed. I really like the look of that. And I really like the look of this little stitch that I put in. You almost cannot see it. You can a little, but I want to thank everybody for watching today. And at the end of this video, I will put up 2 of my other videos if you'd like to click on them. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope you hit the like button and consider subscribing.